Good morning. I'm KHUL meteorologist Chris Ramirez. We are starting off with quiet conditions. We're seeing a very beautiful morning if you are heading out across town. Not raining, but cloud coverage is actually quite gorgeous out there. But this is all thanks to some storms that are off in the distance over Galveston. And it's really a sign that our weather pattern is still remaining unsettled for today, especially as we head into those afternoon hours. So we're starting off about 79 degrees here across town. We're about 2 degrees cooler than what we were at this time yesterday. Southeast winds at 5 miles an hour. As we look at those weather headlines, we are expecting another stormy Saturday afternoon. So if you have those outdoor plans today, definitely keep in mind that the stormy outlook is going to once again be the case for us this afternoon. It's going to become isolated for Sunday and then back to hot and humid conditions for next week. We're going to see the sweltering heat make a comeback here across Southeast Texas. Highs in the upper 90s, likely to see some triple-digit temperatures, maybe in some locations if we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. So as far as your weekend forecasts, we are expecting storms later on today. 90 degrees for a high. We could see some more of those isolated storms for Sunday, but I think it's going to be more isolated in nature instead of scattered like we're expecting to see for today. So for the next 12 hours, we're going to see those temps be a bit cooler. So even though we're going to be also cooler in nature, we're going to see the humidity still give us pretty humid conditions, as well as the feels like temps in terms of how hot it feels outside. So as you look at radar right now, we're showing some showers moving into portions of East Houston. These are fizzling out as they're making their way inland. Right now, daytime heating hasn't really fueled any storm activity, but we could see some of those storms start becoming stronger as we head into the afternoon hours, especially for this afternoon. So as we look at the flood risk for today, we are expecting most of Southeast Texas to be under that risk for a marginal risk for flooding. That is a 1 out of 4. So just keep in mind that if we do have a slow moving storm, that could bring some ponding on roadways, as well as some isolated flooding in some locations, especially as we've already received close to 3 to 4 inches of rain with all the storms that fell yesterday in a large portion of Houston. So we are expecting our grounds to be saturated from yesterday's storms. So we are going to it's not going to be it's going to be a little bit easy for that flooding to persist or to happen later on this afternoon. And so what we're looking at is that we have this abundant tropical moisture that's currently in place. That's all thanks to this disorganized disturbance that has not formed into anything, and it's not expected to form into anything. But this is going to really influence our weather pattern for the next few days, especially at bringing back rain chances for the end of this coming week. So we have tropical moisture in place across the coastal Texas and across the Gulf Coast. We are expecting building high pressure that's going to be causing that moisture to fizzle out. However, heading into the end of next week, that system that brought us all of this rain is going to once again loop around and back over Florida, eventually wanting to move over the Gulf once again, and that is going to be bringing rain chances back into Southeast Texas by Thursday and Friday of this coming week. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on that as we head into later this week. But we are expecting those conditions to remain mostly just a bit more quiet right now, but we will see that rain chance becoming more isolated. As we look at Futuretrack for today, we are expecting the potential for some of these storms to start becoming a bit stronger, maybe isolated going into around 11:30, 12 p.m. It's going to be that typical summertime stormy pattern that we've been seeing for the past few weeks, where we usually see these storms start flaring up between 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then eventually becoming weaker as we lose the daytime heating. So we do have a bit of a stormy activity, maybe between 3 and 4, that we could see storms moving into Houston. I think it's going to be a little bit more isolated than what we saw yesterday. So if you are out and about, just be extra cautious on those roadways, as well as turn around, don't drown. It's not worth driving your car through a flooded roadway, it's very hard to estimate the depth of how flooded a road actually is. So don't risk it, especially if you are driving a car or a low profile vehicle. So we are expecting those conditions to still remain a little bit stormy for this afternoon. As far as our 7-day forecast, high temps are expecting to remain in the 90s through this rest of this week, but we are expecting the return of the summertime hot and humid conditions for next week. Mostly sunny skies, highs in the upper 90s. We could see some triple-digit temperatures here and there. I think we're going to see more of those storms once again return as we head into next Thursday and Friday. And I think that I might end up upping those rain chances for Friday, because we could see, models are starting to come into an agreement that we could see more of those shower and storm activity for the end of this coming week. So expecting quiet conditions from this point forward. Just to kind of sum things up and to revisit what I've been discussing here in this forecast, we are starting off mostly quiet. It is actually quite beautiful out there, all thanks to the cloud coverage that currently is over off into the distance. This is a live look at the Galleria area. You have the Williams Tower, downtown's off into the distance, and we're starting a very beautiful morning. But this is just an indication that our atmosphere is still unstable, and we could see more of the flaring up of storm activity later on this afternoon. So as far as our weather headlines and what to expect for the next 2 to 3 days, another stormy Saturday afternoon. If you have those outdoor plans, you might want to just bring them indoors, because we are going to see more storms move through Houston later on today. We do have a rain chance for Sunday, but it's going to become more isolated, and then we're going to be back to hot and humid conditions for next week. So as far as the rest of your weekend forecast, stormy conditions to persist at least through the weekend. We are expecting somewhat cooler temperatures. However, our grounds are saturated. The humidity is going to be at an ultimate high. And so definitely keep that in mind, that you could still suffer from heat-related illnesses if you are not taking necessary heat precautions out there. Even though the actual temp is 80 degrees, humidity is causing the feels-like temps to be in the upper 90s, because it's just so humid out there, all thanks to the saturated ground. So radar right now is looking mostly quiet. We are showing a few showers off to northeast of town, and we did see some storms moving in over the coast, and they're moving starting to move closer towards Houston, but these are fizzling out. But that doesn't mean that we can't see more storm activity later on today as we progress into the afternoon hours. So expecting those conditions to remain mostly just rather unsettled as we head into this evening. So we can't rule out. I'm going to go ahead and stop this around 3-4 p.m. You have a little bit of a downpour that's forecasted to move through Houston. And if these are slow moving like we saw yesterday, that's when we could see that flooding and that potential for road ponding. And so definitely be on the lookout. Just avoid traveling between the hours of maybe 2:30 and 4 p.m. because we could see some more of those downpours moving through town as we go into the afternoon hours. And so expecting this to have another stormy Saturday afternoon. There is a little bit of a risk for flooding for today, and that's a marginal risk. It's a 1 out of 4, even though yesterday we had a marginal risk as well, but we had some problematic conditions yesterday. There was reports of high water spots with some slow moving storms yesterday evening. And so again, take the heavy rainfall seriously. Don't travel out in those conditions, as well as take the lightning risk seriously as well. Lightning could be very dangerous. That's really an underestimated or overlooked threat to the storms here across southeast Texas, and these storms have had quite a bit of lightning with it. I don't know if you saw the video that we shared on K2U.com of the person who was driving along 69. They were going, I think they were in the Wharton area, and they had lightning strike their hood. And the video is just one of the most insane videos that I've ever seen. And so don't overlook the lightning threat. When you hear thunder outside, go indoors, especially if you're out by a pool. Lightning is a big danger when it comes to thunderstorms, and you want to take that seriously. And there's a lot of lightning deaths that happen every year here in the U.S. And so a lot of folks think, oh, I hear thunder and I see the lightning, but it's not going to strike me. That doesn't mean that can't happen. You want to be extra cautious when it comes to thunder and lightning out there, as we saw yesterday. We didn't have any injuries yesterday, but the person who was in their vehicle definitely, man, you saw the lightning strike their hood, and it was really just an eye-opening video of how dangerous lightning could be. But he was in his car. I believe he was in his truck, and he actually was safe. So if you're in your car, you're fine because you're pretty much grounded by your tires, from what I hear. But just to sum everything up, 7-day forecast, expecting temperatures to remain mostly hot and humid. Rain chances through today. Take the lightning risk seriously. Take the heavy rain risk seriously. It's not going to be widespread, but slow-moving downpours could cause some issues. That's going to last to Sunday, and then by next week, we're going to have to really worry about the heat and humidity, as we could see triple-digit temperatures, at least by Wednesday, but expecting rather hot and humid conditions to be in the picture at least for the next 7 days, but we're also have to keep a lookout for the tropics. No activity as of now, but that doesn't mean that that can't happen within the next 2 to 3 days in terms of what to expect to see. Stuff's always spawning in the Atlantic for this time of year, so be safe out there and stay ahead of the storm by downloading the KHOU 11 app, and you can always catch these extended forecasts on KHOU 11 Plus, which you can download the app on your Roku TV, Apple TV, as well as you can access the Samsung TV channel as well and access KHOU 11 through the Samsung TV channels. And of course, be safe out there. And I am meteorologist Chris Ramirez. Join myself along with anchor Trayson Bragg, where on starting at 9 a.m. we'll be having the latest news and weather headlines for you on our 9 a.m. newscast. Have a good rest.